Gen Z through and through, all trauma. I wanted to talk about this character as, obviously Gen Z season 2 is about to come up in a couple weeks from now. So I wanted to kind of start looking at some of the characters and the unique attributes they have. And Marie is just an absolute case study in trauma-driven identity formation. Like, controlling blood, this power emerges in the most horrific way, to accidentally killing her parents after her first menstruation. I mean, this is terrible in any scenario. Even like the act of having your first menstrual cycle can be very traumatic depending on the setting. So imagine this with the death of your parents absolutely linked into it. So this moment infuses a lot of like guilt and fear, like self-loathing, because she's all of a sudden this monster who's completely out of control. So she definitely takes this to her foreground. Then she ends up in foster care, where she grows up being ashamed of her gift, and her power becomes a symbol of this uncontrollable nature that she has to fight. And you see this manifest in her personality. Now, she has some strong defensive mechanisms. She suppresses and represses everything at a world-class level. She hides her trauma and pretends like she's fine, even though she's, making massive errors in her judgment throughout, and we'll see this. But she's also kind of a perfectionist. She's definitely achievement driven. And this is part of her obsession, like being the first black woman in the 7. This was like her primary focus, to kind of overwrite what she thought about herself, that she's this worthless, out of control thing. Now, unfortunately, she's already failed at being the first black woman because Sister Sage already took over that distinction, even though she didn't want it, right? And when you look at Marie, her power is very symbolic of this deep psychosis. Blood comes to equal life, but also guilt and levels of control. And what she's manipulating is the most intimate substance in the human body. So it's very intimate, and it's very much a violation when she does it to other people. And it reflects on her own nature with relationships, how she kind of is able to not really get too close to people. Then the fact that she has to cut herself to weaponize her powers, this really mirrors this self-harm tendency. Like, her strength comes through this pain. She's literally bleeding to gain control. I mean, that's a paradox that she's got to deal with. So her gift is both, even to her, it's very dangerous and very disgusting. And I get that part of it too. But it's also that her only value comes from this supe hierarchy, because she's disgusted by herself. So she has to achieve in this supe hierarchy to give herself some type of relevance. So this is the paradox that fuels that inner conflict. And we see it, like, she has crazy relationships with Andre and Cate, where she's kind of drawn to these people with strong personalities, because it's this stability that she craves, being part of those groups. And then even with Jordan being kind of gender fluid or identity fluid in a couple of ways, really reflects her idea of these two identities that are kind of fighting with her. This guilt and shame that's masked by this high achiever, like total badass in terms of the superhero thing. And she's got a lot of rebel in her because of that. Now, she plays this archetype of this wounded hero, and her trauma is both the wound that can't heal and also the source of her power. So she embodies this trope of blood sacrifice. Like, every victory costs her something precious, and then at the same time, this ability constantly reminds her of her guilt. She can't use it without thinking about her first manifestations of it. So she's not crazy. I wouldn't call her a mentally stable person, because she's definitely fragmented, dealing with the monster that is guilt, and then seeing herself trying to become the redeemer. So I'm going to talk more about the other characters, but give me your thoughts on this one in the comment section as always.